Welcome to the Gotham and Beyond podcast. We're back with episode number 4. Today we're going to be talking about pushing automatic actions from page 89 to 90, the DC Heroes 3rd edition core rulebook. In superhero comics, we've all seen it, that one desperate moment where the hero does something impossible. They lift the rubble, trapping their friends, they run faster than their legs should allow, or maybe they pull off one of those leaps that makes you wonder if physics is even possible in that panel or in comics. I mean, it's comics, so it's obviously anything's going to go. In DC Heroes 3rd Edition, that's exactly what pushing automatic actions is meant to capture, that comic book cinematic type movie feel. So, this isn't your average dice roll. This is the moment your character digs so deep, the rules themselves have to bend now. So, by default, automatic action is something your hero can do without rolling. You've got enough AP you got enough APs in your power attributes to automatically beat the difficulty, but sometimes you're just a little bit shy of the mark, so you're going to want to push beyond your limits to be able to do something. So, what exactly is pushing? Well, pushing is when your hero strains their ability to the absolute limit. You're not just rolling with your APs, you're temporarily juicing those numbers, tapping into the pure grit, adrenaline, or sheer stubborn will. But there is a catch here. You can only push if the automatic action is based on a power or attribute. You can't push a skill roll. Batman doesn't suddenly become better at forensics because he's trying really hard to figure it out. But he can push his strength if he's trying to bend steel bars. It's possible. Mechanically, you spend hero points to increase your AV, EV, OV, or RV for the attempt. The APs you're pushing with both become the attack value and the opposed value for the roll. So you're rolling against yourself to see if you can do it. Think about it for a second. Your own limits becoming the thing that you're fighting against. That's basically how a comic book pushing action works. You can think about it drawing it on the page. They're using their skills against each other. I mean, their abilities against each other. So when you're doing this, to push, you make an action check of APs of the abilities you're trying to push. So if you're trying to lift a bus, you'd roll your strength APs at both the AV and the OV. Even though it's a normal action, there's now a risk. You could fail. You could basically drop the bus on yourself. And if you do, your ability burns out. So you could drop straight to 0 APs until you recover. Your hero is spent and completely drained when it comes to it. Now, you can throw hero points into the roll to help you succeed, just like any other dice action, but there is another cost, the push fee. So for every 2 APs you temporarily add to your ability, you're going to spend 3 hero points. That's on top of whatever you might spend on the roll itself. So here's an example for you. The rulebook got a great example with Aqualad. Let's build on that a little bit. So imagine you're playing Aqualad now with a strength of 7. You're in the middle of a fight when an army tank is dropped right on top of you. Lifting it clear requires a strength of 9. That's 2 APs higher than what you've got. Without pushing, you're trapped, but you can push. Spending the hero points to temporarily raise your strength to 9 for a few seconds. If you roll and you succeed, you lift it. If you fail, your strength crashes to 0. So you can picture that scene in a comic book or in a movie. The tank drops on Aqualad and he staggers, maybe collapses. That's cinematic after he's throwing the tank away. Just for a split second, he has to shake his head and recover himself from the whole incident. Or maybe the tank crushes him into the ground and he doesn't die, obviously. He just gets crushed into the ground and knocked out for the time being. Another example I have for you is kind of like a speed push. Say the Flash is running down the monorail, speeding down a monorail. Normally, his AP and running are about enough to match the train's speed, but this one is a supercharged one, going just 1 AP faster. Yeah, there's going to be a train for that thing because, this is comics. He needs that extra point. He puts hero points into push, makes the roll, and just manages to match the speed. He grabs the last passenger as the train derails behind them. Without the push, he'd been just a little too slow and probably not have gotten that last person out. But the drama really doesn't stop at success or failure. Burnout is such a fantastic mechanic, the ability just drops to zero. Zero. Yeah, you've got to recover before using it again. That can change the direction of the scene pretty much. Superman pushes his strength to lift a collapsing bridge, saves the day, but then he's left gasping, powerless for the rest of the encounter, or at least for a short time. Maybe the villain sees that moment of weakness and makes their move because you chose to do the extra step. So there's various things that you can do. But I mean, pushes aren't just for desperate rescues. You could use it for other things. It can turn the tide of combat. You can push to hit harder, resist damage longer, or break through a defense you normally couldn't touch. It's just a risky action. Burnout in the middle of a fight can be a catastrophe when it comes to a massive battle. So let's just take a look at this right here. Batman versus some blast doors, for example. His strength is too low to pry them open before the base self destructs. So what does Batman do? He does a push, roll, strain the muscles just in enough time to bust his way through the doors because his, we'll call it adrenaline, is working. Wonder Woman, her strength is fine for normal combat, but she's caught in an artificial gravity field. So she pushes muscles against the crushing force, buying herself a few precious seconds to smash the control console to get gravity back or things back to normal. Green Arrow, for example, has an impossible shot to get off. Normally, he wouldn't have the range to make the shot across the city, but pushes his dexterity based AV for archery, nails it, but collapses from the strain. So there's some ways you can do that. Pushing automatic actions is one of those rules that perfectly matches the tone of the superhero stories and comic books all the time, and even in movies. It's not the thing you use all the time, it's the moment, a highlight, a gamble. And like in comics, sometimes the gamble pays off, sometimes it costs the hero dearly. As the GM, you can make these moments shine by framing them right, describe the strain, the sweat, the split second decision. As the player, don't be afraid to risk it when the stakes are too high. That's the art of pushing. It's the scene everybody remembers when the session's over. The time you bent the rules because the story really demands it. So go ahead and take a look at page 88 and 89 and look at the rules for pushing actions and how it works. See how it works inside your campaign. Uh, Maybe tell me what your house rules are. Do you even use this rule? It's in all the editions of the game, as far as I remember. I know even Batman, the role playing game, which is like 1.5 edition for me, has this ability as well. So you can still push in that game. It's not just localized to 3E. Now, I don't know much about anything beyond third edition, so I apologize. I don't know Blood of Heroes at all. I don't play Blood of Heroes, and this podcast is based off of Mayfair rules only. And I follow just what the original Mayfair rules would do for third edition. Well, hopefully that gave you some ideas and ways to use it in your campaign, and just a quick look at the rule. And that's what this podcast is all about: quick look at rules and talking about how it can be used in ways for GMs to have a good time with the rules. This system is universally one of the better ones I'm talking about for superhero games. It's not too crunchy and it's not too simple. It has its way. And I know everybody's, oh, the chart is not that big of a deal. Eventually, when you use this chart enough, you won't be looking at the chart anymore. I know me personally, when I first get back into playing DC Heroes or Batman or whatever, I'm looking at the chart a lot because it's been a while since I've played it. But I've noticed you start remembering what the numbers are, how many, column shifts you need to get what, and you're not looking at the chart anymore. You're basically just rolling dice and remembering it through memory. It's kind of like a memory muscle thing you need to rebuild up again. Or if you're doing it for the first time, you have to build that memory muscle. Much like Daniel in The Karate Kid, you have to paint the fence, wax the car, sand the floor, get that muscle memory. You do the same thing with the chart. You look at the chart, you roll your dice, you look at the chart, you roll your dice, and to eventually you don't need to look at that chart anymore because it just becomes natural. So before you, as people would say, poop on the system, it's not a bad system. It actually works really well for superheroes. It is probably one of the better ones. Now I know a lot of people like to say phase rip is a lot better because it's easier because you just have that little color chart, slide your finger across. But um, I like this one better. I'm more of a fan of DC. I've always been a fan of DC, so this one will always hold a special place in my heart over anything else. But with that said, I'm going to head out. Hopefully, you have a great day. And this little podcast snippet about push rules gave you some ideas and inspiration for your campaign. So I'm going to say keep original, keep it old school. Good night, everybody.